make sure everything is working, sir.
Yes.
Okay, time being 6 o'clock, we'll call the January meeting of the Tilton Zoning Board to order. And it's going to be a relatively late night. So let's get right down to the first case, 1501, special exception application. Pursuant to zoning article 4.3 to allow the construction of a retaining wall within the 20-foot setback at 570 Laconia Road in the mixed-use district. R9, map R9, lot 53. Mr. Bernard, is that
My name is John Bernard, and thank you.
You're very so. It's a pleasure having you this evening.
I appreciate that. That's,
We're here at your service.
Speak for yourself.
I don't know what to say about that, but I'm humbled and grateful to be in front of the board. In 2012, in March, the town voted in that a special exception would be allowed for retaining walls. And if we were to read the setback regulations under 4-3, it says that commercial districts proposing structures in the setback areas are subject to planning approval, and off-street parking retaining walls within designated setbacks may be allowed by special exceptions only. So my reason for being in here is for a special exception for retaining walls. These retaining walls are, one is for parking and the other one is for a walkway, which was in front of the planning board and was approved by the planning board to allow for an off-premise parking lot. And one of the issues we had at that time is that the state or the town was requiring a driveway. We didn't want to put it in front of the Grange Hall, it would have restricted their parking. So we get an easement from the town, which allowed us to have a walkway as shown here on the plan. So if you look at the topo there, it's almost impossible to do it without a retaining wall. The retaining wall will be put in place, there will be fill added to it, and it will allow from this parking lot to the Grange, 7 Grange Road, which is the Awakening Chiropractor, and I own both of those properties.
Where's the parking lot?
The parking lot is existing right now, as we see.
Okay. So there's nothing, what's gonna happen over here? Nothing?
I have a building that I put in here,
Yes, so that,
but there's nothing I can do with it until I have a tenant, because how it works in this town is that if you go in front of the town, which I've done many cases, and you go in front for sales or an office space, you have to come back in front of them for any specific use. So it's nothing but a waste of your money and time to do it. Which I had done it 3 times and then realized I got brought back in because you have to do it with each specific business. So even though I have a structure there, it's in a mixed use. It could become a multifamily use, which I wouldn't require going back to any of the planning board meetings. But once I find a tenant and I have a specific use for it, then I would have to go back in front of the planning board for that.
I see, thank you.
You're welcome.
What is the square footage of that building, just out of curiosity?
2,000 square feet.
2,000 even?
Yes.
That's 2-story, right?
It is
Entry
2-story.
on the second floor on
It is
Back
two-story.
side.
Yep, exactly. You know, if I don't have a tenant for it, it will become a single family or a multifamily unit, which is allowed in that zoning without going back in front of any boards. It's just so it's an allowed use. I did have somebody that was interested in it. The one that approached me and looked at it was a financial brokerage firm. What they do is they brokerage mortgages and things like that.
Yeah.
But so far, no bites.
Now, this wall down here
Yes,
is just what, holding back the grade?
correct.
Okay.
Yep, just levels that off.
And egress to the building is through here
Yes,
to here?
correct. To this parking lot area here, which is an existing parking area now.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. When you read through special exceptions, it says the site is appropriate location for the use. As a commercial use, I think it's appropriate.
Yeah.
2, no factual evidence is found that the property values in the district would be reduced. I actually think that improved property is more valuable and I get taxed more on it, so that's the proof. 11-4-4, 11 period, how do you say 11 period 4? period 4, 11
No,
dot?
you did it
Four?
right.
What's
You
the
did it
proper
right.
way?
11.4.4.
11.4 is.
Point 4, yes, 2 points, okay.
Mhm.
Let me bring up a point there. There is no valid objections from the abutters that I can see on the demonstrated lot that has value that would. No nuisance or hazards shall be involved in this. An adequate and appropriate facility will provide for the proper operation of those use, which it does. It allows us to have a walkway. And then the next one is the action by the board. I don't really have much more to say. It's a pretty simple requirement. So humbly ask that it gets approved.
Okay, the only question I have is relative to the where it's gonna be installed along the road.
Yes.
DOT an issue?
Never. As long as you're outside, off of their property, there are no issues.
You mean off of your right of way, they don't own the property. you know?
Right, it's right off of their right of way.
Yeah.
And this particular one has been surveyed so many times
Yeah.
that we all, yeah, no, DOT has no issue.
This line here is the right of way? I can't, what is it right in there? Yeah.
This line over here is the right of way?
Yes, okay, that's what I
Yeah.
thought, okay.
So we're far enough
Yeah,
behind
you're
them too.
well,
And-
okay.
And there's what they call it's called a critical gas line. This is just nothing more than information for you guys. There's something called a critical gas line that runs down Route 3. And every time that you dig into it, they have to have somebody who sits there and
Yeah,
watches
yeah,
it.
yeah.
So,
So this curb cut, John,
yes.
who is that serving? Is this your property line?
Yeah, I have two properties
It
here.
appears
This
like
is a
it's
split.
common, yeah?
Yes, it is. It's a common one. It serves two. It serves
Okay.
this lot and that lot over there.
Well, you have no intended use for that, actually, the way this is set up, right?
No, I will at some time. I hope
At some
to.
point?
Yeah, I hope to use that. I mean, that's, you know, the value in properties is having a Route 3 entrance.
Oh, yeah.
So that's.
Okay, so that's just for future use.
Yeah, and all that stuff is approved by the DOT and has been put in place.
We'll be looking for more retaining walls.
So I will,
On that
you know,
one. That would do,
I
I
will.
assume, yeah.
You're absolutely correct, and I make no bones about it. I feel like
Well,
that's, I feel like that's
you
Toyota
have to have
commercial.
that, you know, the way that
Exactly.
slopes there.
It's inherent to how the lot's stayed. I mean, my next thing is to put a nice commercial building over here too, and there'll be a retaining wall up in here. But that's just the nature of the beast.
So there's no problem with stabilization along in here?
No, it's sloping and it's grass and it'll be seeded.
And this will be grass too?
I will say it'll be gravelled at this time.
Gravel,
Yep, no, there's no problem with stabilization. You know, we started, here's a question for you guys, and this is a real question. We started to do it, we started building this retaining wall out of rocks. I said, wait a second, we can't
I
do that.
saw that, yeah.
I said, we can't do that, we're in the setbacks now, we have to be in front of the thing. And the guy who's running the excavator goes, I do this all the time. I'm like, look, this is the requirement for the town, that if
Yeah.
you're building, so if you're building a retaining wall out of natural stones, it's still a retaining wall as far as I was concerned.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, they're gonna call it a structure.
Yeah,
So a
yeah,
bunch of
One rock
rocks.
on
and-
top of another, you've got a structure.
don't put them too close together, they'll call it a structure.
Yes. So that's, and you'll see we started it and we stopped and, you know, at first I said, geez, I really don't want to do it, I was gonna do a slope, but retaining walls really work much better. And if you're gonna have cars on them, and you're gonna utilize the space, and you have a sloping lot like this, it makes sense. They're not cheap, but they make the land work.
Yeah, Oh, that's a good point, yeah, we missed that.
All right.
But I also want to bring something else up. I asked George to become a full member
Okay?
tonight, as he is still an alternate, and so he'll be voting also this evening. And as far as you're concerned, I know we kind of left it out, but because we don't have a full board, it's your option whether we hear the case, whether you choose to have us hear a case or wait for a full board.
I choose to have you get a case.
Okay, and we've covered those grounds. And has everybody seen the property? Yes, 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 okay, we're in good shape there. See, I'm forgetting something here. Oh! You've got the zoning in front of you. Is there anything that still speaks to getting a permit from the planning board that used to be in here
Yeah,
for the same thing, I think?
yeah, it does.
Are you aware of that?
I read it, and I didn't really interpret it that way. They've already passed this, they're already aware of it, not particularly the
Yeah.
retaining wall, but I read it, I'll read it again with you guys, I looked at that today. It's right here. It says, "A commercial district proposing structures in setback areas shall be subject to site plan approval and off-street parking, and retaining walls within the designated setback may be allowed by special exception." So, I guess I'm just asking for you guys to vote on it for special exceptions. If the planning board wants me to go back in with it, I'm sure they'll notify me to do that.
Well, we want to make sure that we put that as a condition if it's necessary, that's all.
Yeah.
I don't really, don't take this the wrong way, but I don't really see where that's the ZBA's.
Now, it's not a ZBA action, it's not
Right.
permit. There are some things in here that specifically require a permit from the planning board.
Yeah, I didn't see this anywhere. I don't see the way it was require a permit.
You know, stand by while we just,
Sure, absolutely.
Go through
No, no,
this.
sure.
There it is.
just to be clear on it.
He's talking about this down here. Structures in the setback are subject to site plan approval.
Off-street parking, retaining walls, within designated setback may be allowed by special exception only.
Hmm.
Okay, now let's go back to where you were before there. Hold that place there. Two kinds of plans proposed, a site for special assembly submitted with an application for a permit. And such plan shall show the location of all buildings, open spaces, landscaping, lighting, may be necessary to determine if the proposed use meets the requirements and spirit and intent of this ordinance. One copy says the permit shall expire if such use shall cease for more than 1 year.
So, this says, that's it, this is just, relative to the other conditions that you might want to put in. Limitation on the size and number of on-street, design, flyers, traffic features, control of the number of location lights, so.
As a condition for you to find.
You know, so, yeah, special exception is much different than variance, because variance goes on forever.
Would you interpret this
well,
as to
we
think that
have
some
to
kind of
advertise
permit
within
would be
2 years.
necessary, other than what it's making reference to over here?
According to state law, I question.
Saying
So
maybe,
if you look at the way
maybe
it's
allowed by
written,
special exception only, which is what we're looking for
It's
here.
fine to do something in 2 years, they gotta go home,
And that's a setback rule,
they did do something, took the building down.
but the other goes into, the actual rules of the special exceptions.
We'll talk about it tomorrow, but that's an interesting.
essentially the state has set the
Submitted
minimum
with
expiration
an
date
application
as
for
2
a permit.
years.
Okay.
Now, I think we probably have for now, because it's sort of, hasn't been process that we'd say, we didn't.
I should come in and apply for that. I thought maybe it's like that, I took the building down. They do.
We call you out tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll talk more about it.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a tough day, I'll be on the road, well, I'll be dry talking.
All right.
But give me, in the morning I'm working and I'm.
You know, I would
Alright.
possibly mention compliance with Article 11.6.
Then you wanted to get a permit of some type. When you went to the planning board, were these walls on the?
No, they weren't, and I'm trying to think of how long ago I even went there. Well, it might have been before 2012. I didn't require that. I think it was before 2012. I'm almost sure it was. So, maybe I can help here by saying there is no permit for them to issue. But we do not have that permit in this town.
That's an interesting statement,
But,
first
yeah.
line.
Yeah, it says 2 copies of plans for the proposed development of a site for a special exception shall be submitted with an application for a permit. It doesn't say what kind of permit.
There is no permit.
I think it means, as an someone who, maybe an outsider, because I've only been working with this for a year, is, what they mean by permit is, special exception permit. It's
That's
just
what I-
a misnomer, but.
That's what I'm trying.
That's how I interpret
Me
it.
too.
Okay, would we all be akin to agreeing on that, that we would interpret it that way?
Yeah.
You good with that? Okay, in that case then,
I would say that the applicant has complied with all of the special exception conditions, including Article 11.6 particularly.
okay, well, we.
I would recommend, or,
We certainly have the authority to interpret where necessary, and I would tend to agree with that idea, that hasn't, that's really a special exception rule, and the setback rule,
yeah,
he's already complying with that by bringing it before this board.
yep.
And I don't see that worth pursuing from our end. Everybody agree with that? Yeah. You would?
So I would like to make a
Okay.
motion that we go ahead and approve.
Sorry, thank you. I don't know if you want to have it on the record that there's no public or that no public comment was offered or anything.
Oh, okay. Being that there's no public here this evening, will not be necessary to open up to public comment.
Sorry.
That's good.
Thank you.
Yeah, but-
Go ahead with the motion.
Move that we approve case number 15-01 for a special exception.
Second?
You have a second? Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It's approved, 18 minutes.
There are no conditions, and there's not really
Thank you.
no conditions necessary.
I'll make them pretty walls.
I'm sorry?
I'll make them a pretty wall.
Oh, you always do.
Oh, you always do, I'm sure you will. Your walls always have been superb, and
They last.
they do a credit to this community.
Thank you.
Yes, they sure do.
Yes, no question about it.
I think that special exception must be a special exception permit. Is that the last name to a special exception? Is that a permit, a special
No,
exception?
that's why we're kind of confused with the term permit, you know.
But there was no permit, so.
It's a word.
We're permitting the special
Thank
exception.
you. I mean, again, well, on the record, I'm just kind of
Yeah.
curious.
We're approving
Yeah,
the special,
permitting of,
Of
we're
the
approving
special.
the special exception permit.
Right?
Yeah.
So it is a permit?
No.
Don't push it.
I'm just asking. I'm going home, I say thank you. I'm sorry that you had to come out to approve a wall, but, you know, it's the law.
You're always welcome.
Thank you for being part of the community and participating with the ZBA. Thank you.
It's only one time. You're
doing
not,
a public duty.
you're not a citizen of this community, right?
No, I was probably sitting right alongside you if you'd let me. I have to close myself every other week and I think
Qualify as an alien?
I would, you know, I do know some that were, use the word resident very vaguely and or held office within this town, but I'm not sure that it's appropriate for me to.
Yeah, don't go there. No,
I like this town. It's been a good town for me. You know?
Well,
Yes, yeah.
everything you've done really has been in this town.
Actually, there's a couple things I do outside. Not a lot.
Oh, really?
Not a lot, you're right. Most of the stuff that I think Tilton's an up-and-coming place. I think it has been since I've got here. When I got here, there was a little ice cream store with Tilton, the Tilton.
Fat Freddy's.
Yeah, is that what it was called?
Fat Freddy's was up there, yeah.
Little blue, I remember
Fat
blue
Freddy's
or
and
gray, right?
Pikes.
Yeah.
Pikes
I remember-
Industries.
I landed in that airport at Pikes Industry.
Boy.
Remember that airport that was there?
Intentionally?
Oh, yeah. Remember the
I did.
landing strip.
There was a landing strip there.
I was thinking about you last night when I was on the internet,
No, thank
looking
you.
at aircraft for sale,
Oh, yeah.
and I came across one that I'm really tempted with.
What do you got?
It's a 727, outfitted
Yeah, okay.
in the
You
corporate,
had me right up till the 7 and the 270.
in the corporate, it was outfitted like a corporate aircraft. It was magnificent, it looked like Trump might have owned it. For 180 grand, it can be mine.
Seriously?
Yeah. Apparently they just want
No
to get rid of
engines?
it. I figure I can afford to fly it in to Concord or Manchester, and then we're gonna find a pad to park it on, and then we'll live in it.
Good idea.
Turn it into a museum.
There's no taxes on an airplane that I'm aware of.
No,
Is
there
there?
isn't.
You're
Not
gonna
that I
have to
can
pay your
think
tie-down fee, but you're not gonna have to tie that thing down, because it's not gonna go anywhere, we'll set the brakes. And put shocks under it. But it looked like something nice enough to live in, the APU was operative, and it was totally flyable.
Seriously?
Look on the internet under the ASL site,
My wife would shoot me if she caught me looking at that.
There's worse things to be looking at.
Yeah, I know.
Do you have one?
I don't have one now, but I almost bought a plane and she was gonna shoot me. I was gonna buy one out of Mexico, and it was what they call a Navajo.
Oh,
Went into
Navajo,
Navajo
yeah.
on B model, which had
Navajo's a
tanks.
neat plane, yeah.
I thought it was neat, it
Twin
looked
engine,
cool.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Out of Mexico, did they already have the drugs out of it?
Well, that was one of the problems, of the logbooks weren't so good. But it was reasonable. I am a pocket hunter. So like, she can't just look at a 727 for 108. She's like, "What?"
Yeah, I could tell all I wanted to do was get rid of it, apparently.
You know, and scrap it said be worth that.
Uh,
What do you think, Joe? Go get it? You a co-pilot?
yeah.
Go build your wall and don't come back for another 6 months, please. Please.
That's true,
I'm happy with John.
I have
I'm leaving.
I have the type rating, and you don't need to have a type.
Right.
Do like I do when I was in the right seat, you just work the radios.
I'll talk to him. This is one crazy bandit coming in. Good night, guys. Thanks.
Good night, John.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Okay, one other thing, we have the minutes of the meeting, of the last meeting, that we need to approve or make changes. And, see, I talked with Barry about the motion not mentioning the term variance, and it should.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't have a problem with it when I read it because he had mentioned variance prior to that, you know, so, but, you know, technically it could be changed.
Well, a lot of times the copy of the variance that is issued goes in the file. I
Right.
assume they still do.
Right, the notice of decision.
So
yeah.
at some point in the future, somebody's gonna go through the file and see what variances have been approved, and they're gonna see something that's not gonna say anything on it,
Right.
other than that they've been granted relief,
Um,
okay? And that's not appropriate, so all we need to have in there is the,
So, yeah, sorry. Thank you.
put the word variance, and granted a variance, have approved a variance granting relief.
Or what I had written, scribbled on here was moved by Mr. Brown to approve ZBA case 1408, granting a variance from zoning article, does that work?
Yeah,
Okay, sure.
Okay.
perfect, that's.
All right,
the way I
that's
would
the
do
cha,
it,
that's
too.
how I have it saved on my computer, so if
Mhm.
that works for you guys.
Yeah.
And then I'll make sure the notice of decision has the word variance on it as well. I already gave it to I already sent it to the applicant, but I can at least put a note in the property record file.
Well, you could send it to them a revised one, I used to do that
Okay,
when I was in the office, just send
Okay.
us a revised,
Yeah,
all right,
and these people have received the new one.
yeah,
Uh,
okay.
so I'll move to accept the minutes from, of November 18th, 2014, as edited.
As amended,
As amended. That's a better word.
I thought you had a small change in it, didn't you bring up something the other night, about a small change in it?
No, no, I don't think I did. No, I thought they were excellent. I don't
Okay.
know.
I'll second.
We got a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, 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 aye,
Pretty tough group, huh, tonight?
Yes, well, I guess the last order of business is a motion to adjourn, I so make,
I'll second that.
unless anybody has any further discussion. Okay,
Aye.
all in favor of going on?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, in and out in 25 minutes.
Wow.
Let me turn this on.
Yeah,
Nobody's
just make
missing
it,
the
throw
drones
it
tonight.
against the wall, it'll stop.
Yeah, that's right.
I press the off button.
Beautiful. That's the best way to do it. That's the way to know it's off. Thanks.
Well, one other
It's
thing,
like pulling the plug on your computer, right?
Yeah, exactly. No question that one's gonna work.